So I'm gonna throw some garden envy on you today. The Hancocks over in Adel, Georgia have put this immaculate raised bed garden and this greenhouse in, and man, it is a pretty place. They have allowed us the opportunity to come over here today and do a tour of it for you. So stay tuned, you're in for a treat. Now, first of all, let's get this straight. You're a master carpenter. What you do for a living is restoration of old historical buildings and do some pretty amazing work. And that's your full-time gig, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I'm an independent contractor for the state of Georgia, and I go to the different parks and things around Georgia and restore the old historical parks and new stuff also, and then add stuff in to make them safe, to ADA compliant. And that's what I do. I build.
So this, you started when?
I started this in September the 26th for my wife's birthday.
Wow, what a birthday present.
What a birthday present.
Yeah.
I got all the brownie points now.
Yes, you did. So
she's got to play catch up.
That's right. Let's take a look around.
All right, sir.
So basically what we got here is a raised bed garden with this immaculate greenhouse, but you did some things here that I thought was really interesting. You put a fence up on the outside, which creates a boundary of inside that garden. And you know, that's really important when people think about gardening. If you got a boundary there, it just helps you with your design, it helps you with what you grow, it helps you how you plan everything out. And look here, it keeps out some of those critters that we need to keep out sometimes.
Exactly, exactly. As we did this thing, my wife would come up with the different things she wanted. We started with the greenhouse. This field out here had been vacant for about 20 years. And then she turned around and said that she wanted a greenhouse, so I built her a greenhouse. And then it started, we had to build planters, then we had to build the arbor, then we had to put fence up.
Yeah.
And it all is a grand design that come out of her head.
Wow.
And she designs and does that. She was a cake artist doing wedding cakes for years, and that's just how she is. And she plans things and does stuff like that, and she puts it together. I've told someone one day that she'd probably be the best chess player in the world because she can see so far ahead of what she's doing and design it that way. But that's where we evolved from, was just a vacant field and a greenhouse.
So let's talk about the greenhouse. So she designed this all in her head, and not only is it unique with the way you build it, it's kind of like a timber frame design, would you say?
It is, exactly.
But you also repurposed old windows in the design, which I thought was really interesting because I just love old building stuff like old windows and things like that. The door going into it has been repurposed.
It is. That's an old door that come out of some building, which I have no idea. But we framed this thing up and we built a door inside a door so we could open it up to let things pass through. I can drive my tractor in there if I want to.
Wow. And
these windows, there are 108 old windows in this place. And they come from various different places, like the back windows that's in the very back, that's 8 foot tall and about 8 foot wide. Those come out of a schoolhouse. And we repurposed them and used them in that spot. And it was by God's design that we found those. I mean, it's a God thing that when you find things like that fit in a place that you need it and that's unique, and it worked out perfect.
So what you had to do is you had to come together with all these materials before you could actually build, because you had to make sure the windows that you had was going to work, right?
Exactly. We framed this house, this greenhouse, according to the size of windows that we had, as far as the main frame of it. Now, in between, we filled in and placed the windows in place, but the main frame derived from the size windows that we had to put in it. And as we did it, it grew. You know, we had to add a little bit longer, a little bit wider, a little bit taller. Matter of fact, before I could get the pitch right, she wanted the perfect pitch on this thing. I had to mock it up, let her look from the house to see if it was the right height, and I had to change it about 3 times. I told her, I said, at the pitch we got it right now, we can't walk it.
Yeah.
But we can put stuff on it.
Right.
We can make it work.
So all the walls in here are the repurposed windows, which work great because you also use them as a ventilation system. So I'm assuming all the windows come out, or just the ones in the mid-level there?
Just the ones in the middle. The rest of the windows are fixed, except for the ones in the middle that are open, and we hinge those, and and put a chain up so we could open it up so the air would blow through and keep it cool in here.
Because in the
plant.
South, ventilation is really important in the summertime.
It very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. We've got fans set up in here, and we have yet to put automatic waters in, but we're going to put automatic waters throughout. But the fans are very important. Ventilation is very important for plants.
Right. So we got the repurposed windows for the walls, and on the top you use the store-bought stuff for the top and the end walls, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And our beams wasn't long enough to go all the way across, and I built the plates to go on it to create the distance that we needed for our beams.
Wow. You have any idea how many square feet this is?
We've got it's probably about, what is it, 30, it's roughly about 31 by 21.
Right.
So that's probably what, about 600 square feet?
Yeah. Now you've got heat and air in here, which air is, in the summertime it's going to be hard to cool this thing, but the heat makes it really important in the wintertime when you're trying to keep your plants alive and you're trying to overwinter. So I'm assuming you get your plants started in here and then move them out, and then also during the summertime or in the spring or pretty much any time during the year, you can use this area for entertaining or for potting up or for pretty much anything.
Exactly. We've had a couple of photo shoots out here, and I think we've had 2 parties out here, just family get-togethers, and I built her a table to go down the center that sit 14 people, and that sits our little bunch.
Wow. And
we gather up with our grandchildren and our great-grandchildren, and we sit at the table, and we just have a blast out here. We have a blast.
So with these windows up and a pretty good fan, you got good air circulation.
Right, exactly.
How many raised beds you got?
We've got 16 raised beds. The raised beds are 4 foot by 12 foot, and they're 12 inches off the ground. And we put landscape cloth in the bottom, and we filled it with compost, mulch. We filled it to where to what we thought we needed in there, and then we just planted. We planted and fertilized and got a lot of great pointers from hosstools.
And you got permanent irrigation inside those raised beds that makes life a lot easier, don't you?
We do. We have water set up on timers, so that all our raised beds are on a timer to where we can actually turn it on to what we need.
And if you're gone for the weekend, you ain't got to worry about somebody coming over and watering or your plants dying.
Exactly, because that does happen.
It does happen. So I see you got a little outside resting area. I'm assuming this is going to be a covered arbor at some point.
It is.
Yeah.
We're gonna put the 2x on the top and do something like the scalloped edges we've got on the greenhouse itself, and they're going to extend past about 16 inches all the way around, and we're going to put a little trellis up there. And I've already got the grapevines that my buddy brought me from Florida, and I've got them seeded. I got them rooting in planters over there in pots, and we're going to put grapevines on each corner, and it's going to come up and create a canopy.
Yep.
Hang lights, and we got a swing that a guy from our church is building for us, Gerald Beckenheimer, and he's building us a swing, and we've got a mattress for it, and it's going to hang on the other side, and the grand youngins has already claimed these.
So you can take a nap at the same time.
Take a nap at the same time.
Now this fence is really interesting. So what kind of panels are these?
Those are what they call a hog panel. Not a hog panel, a sheep and goat panel.
Okay, I think so. It's a little different from what hog panels I've seen.
Yeah, it's a 4-inch by 4-inch, 4 foot by 16 foot, 4-gauge wire.
Right.
And the framing's done out of 6x6 and 2x6s, and we use deck boards for the top. Well, deck boards on the front, and we use the 2x8 on top that we routed the edge to match the deck boards.
Yeah, those are nice and sturdy. They'll be there for years to come.
That's right.
Now these raised beds, you just kind of come in here and you laid it off. And one thing I think is important when people do raised beds, and I noticed you did this, you plan this out so it's all symmetrical. Everything is the same distance apart. You thought about your walking space, how much walking space you need. It's 4 foot in between here, right?
Right.
So that 4 foot is the magic number there. 2 foot from each side is pretty much what you want a raised bed.
Exactly.
So these are ideal for as far as being accessible and being easy to grow in.
That's right. That's right. A lot of the things that you grow, like the tomatoes, they'll get out on you if you don't have a right trellis.
Yeah.
And your squash and cucumber plants, they'll want to get out in the aisle and get in your way. But you can pick the vines up and move them in the direction you want them.
Yeah.
And but I think it's, with the flowers on it and everything, it just looks good.
Yeah, and all your beds are the same height, so you started out at the same starting point there.
Exactly.
So they're all level.
They're all level.
Little things like that make a lot of difference to the eye when you look at it, especially from a distance.
And that's what that young lady of mine likes. She likes the eye appeal and what it looks like.
Yeah.
And I help with the structural part.
Right.
She knows what looks good.
Yeah.
And I know what'll work.
Yeah.
And what structurally is sound.
Yeah.
I know the structural integrity and the length of every board that you can span,
right,
the lengths, and she knows what she likes. So I know how to put it together for her.
Yeah, it makes a good team there.
Exactly.
You got river rock in here in the bottom.
Exactly, yes.
You got anything underneath this?
We do. It's landscape cloth, and landscape cloth goes over the entire area. And
helps somewhat with your weeds, right?
It helps somewhat with the weeds, but the weeds will peek back through on you. And we've been trying to do all organic, and we haven't stayed on top of the weeds like we should. They actually, from the rain that we just had, it wanted to pop up.
Yeah.
But it's always an ongoing thing with the bugs and the worms and the weeds.
Yep. So with the entrance here, we see this right here, and I'm assuming the same plan as with this is to create some kind of vegetative arbor.
It is. It is. What we've got here, we've got 5 openings that are approximately 8 foot wide, and what we've got planted in here is pear trees and apple trees at the present time, and we are going to espalier these trees to where they run along a cable at 3 points about 16 inches apart, and we're going to espalier them, and it will fill in that with the trees. And what it actually does, instead of letting the tree get larger and to where you can't reach it or get to it, it actually helps you to where you can grow more fruit in a smaller confined area without it going out into your walkway path and over here into our planters. And it actually, from what I've read and learned, that you can grow a lot more fruit that way and easily access it.
What good is that apple that you can't reach and pick?
Nothing. It's gonna fall to the ground and rot.
Yep. So what are you gonna do on top here?
I've got John Henry Adel welding. He's building me some metal arbors to go across. They're gonna have about a foot rise. That's about 8 foot tall. It's gonna have about a foot rise, and it's made out of tubing. And we're actually gonna put grapevines across it also.
Muscadines.
Muscadines, exactly. And grow them across, and it'll make a good shade and a good appearance, a good look.
And some good snacking as well.
And some good snacking. A buddy of mine in Florida, his daddy sit down on the swing one day, and his favorite word was dudes. And he'd sit there in his swing, and he reached up and he got him a grape and put it in his mouth, and that's one of the grapes that I got seeded over there, that I've got rooted, that come off of his vine.
Wow.
And he'd take it, he said, "What do you think about this, dudes?" And he'd put that thing in his mouth and ate it, and I've always remembered that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna have me, right over there and right here.
Yep. What a nice walkway. Tell me about that. I guess you did that as well.
I did. Me and the guys and my wife, she actually figured out the pattern and kept us in line and kept us putting it in the same one. This one goes here, that one goes there. But what we did was we cooked and went down, and I dug it down probably about 8 inches deep with my tractor and box blade all the way out. It's 8 foot wide and 70 foot long. And what I did was I cut out about 8 inches deep, and I took what is called crush and run, and I put
limestone rock.
Yes, sir. And I put it in here, and I compacted it, and then I come back with a 1 inch layer of sand and leveled it off real good, and placed the pavers on top of it, and put a little border that you can buy, which is a plastic border on the edge to keep it contained. And then when you get done, you sweep mortar sand in it, and you sweep sand in it, and it locks it all in, and makes it to where we actually drive. You can drive a truck up here on it. We drive the side by side up on it, and anything you need to, because that's what I wanted, something that we could get on top of without it sinking, because it does get kind of wet out here. I've got drain tiles run out here to take some of the moisture away.
Wow, what a birthday present.
Yes.
So you're kind of new to gardening, but you had in your mind exactly what you wanted, right?
It's kind of progressed.
Has it?
And he's saying it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah. And this is what you would call your she shed?
Well, I like the glass greenhouse,
Yeah.
but she shed is
Yeah.
what everybody's saying that I've got.
Yeah. This is kind of where you get away and relax a little bit, get your thoughts back together after you kind of had that rough day.
Yeah, and you know, it's a place of restoration that God has given us.
Right. Yeah. It's awesome. I just can't believe it. Every time I rode by here, I wanted to stop because I knew something special was happening. But I've been noticing over the last couple of years, I guess, the work that's been done, and you continue to add to it, and it has just come to be something that's really beautiful. Even from the road, you can tell there's something special about it.
Yeah, we have a lot of folks that stop and take pictures.
Yeah. So you're kind of new to gardening, is that right?
Well, Daddy always planted the garden. We were just the harvesters.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is our first. We've been married for, we've been together almost 30 years. So this is our first experience with putting a seed in the ground.
Wow. And you did a combination of flowers and vegetables.
Yes, because my idea was that I eventually do a cut garden.
Cut flowers.
You know?
So you've got flowers, you got roses, you got a variety of different plants here, and then you've got vegetables. So you're growing for yourself as well as growing for the food for your family.
Yeah.
You know, with raised beds, and we mentioned earlier that you got this permanent irrigation in there, it really makes vegetable garden easy, especially for somebody beginning, or maybe limited to amount of effort you can put into it or the time you can put in. Raised beds work really good. They have their drawbacks, but with that irrigation system put in there, it makes it pretty easy.
Yes, because I have last summer, I planted flowers all up around the house and all, and I was dragging a hose every day, and I can't do that anymore.
Right.
So we started with the irrigation, and we're having to play with it because with the heat and everything, we've started with 1 time a day, 30 minutes or 25 minutes 1 time a day, and now we've gone to 2. But see, this morning I've noticed that my geraniums are getting too much water. There's too much water in the pots, so you can tell that they're changing colors. I've got some flowers over here that's not liking the water, so I'm gonna have to dial it back to, I'm thinking maybe still twice a day, but maybe 15 or 20 minutes instead of the 25, and see if that'll help them.
Right.
So it's a game. It's just.
Well, one thing's for sure, you know how to grow cabbage. Look at the size of these boys, wow.
But you know what bothers me is all the little holes.
Well, we got to work around that. You still got a lot of slaw there to make.
Yes, because you see that?
Yeah, that's huge. So you can grow year-round down here in the south. We can grow cabbage pretty much in the fall and early spring and on into the summer. I see you got squash growing, you got tomatoes growing, you got peppers. This time of the year, everything's coming in, but you even got strawberries still coming in.
Yes. We got this plant over at a nursery in Albany, and these are supposed to supply us strawberries to September.
Yeah. I just grew strawberries. I've grown them before, but I just grew them successfully this year for the first time. And I planted in the fall and gathered in the early spring. A buddy of mine out in Texas gave me some pointers and kind of hit me along. Evidently, you're having a little bit of a bird problem with them as well.
Yes.
So you got to protect them from the birds. Cherry tomatoes growing, man, they don't take many of those to supply a family.
Well, let me show you something. This right here, this close was here. There was a strawberry plant under it, and I saw blooms coming on it, and I just last week took this off because a tomato, I guess, has come from here to here. It's transplanted itself. So it's not a strawberry, it's
Right.
a tomato, and look at the tomatoes. It's just,
loaded up.
yeah.
Squash,
Yes.
got plenty of squash growing. You know, I love squash when they first come in, but it don't take me long to get burnt out on squash. But they are great and they're easy to grow.
Yeah.
And here we have some of your flowers.
Yes, I'm just learning what you can plant now, what won't survive in the heat. In our South Georgia heat, it's just crazy, and I'm learning a lot of that from Jennifer.
Yeah.
She's teaching me a lot.
So what's next? What's your plans? I see you got a couple of projects y'all finishing up on your arbors and things like that. What's going to be next out here?
Well, we've got a swinging bed coming. That should be here next week, and we can also move that out. The dining table that was in the greenhouse, my sweet honey built that for me for Christmas, so our whole family could sit at the table. And when it cools off, we're going to move that table under the arbor, and hopefully in the next week or so we're going to get our grapevines planted, so maybe we'll have us a good shade.
Yeah. So I noticed this box, when we come in, it looks real familiar to you. So you got your Hoss fertilizer injector. So you're going to use that drip irrigation to your advantage, where you can put your nutrients through that drip irrigation.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be a game changer for you.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it, so I don't have to hook it to my hose and water everything. It'll be, turn it on and it's done.
Yep. So you use this area for entertaining, use this area just for overwintering plants, propagating. It's just a good area that you can use, come out here and relax in and just enjoy life. You know, these kind of gardens just kind of make life a little easier, don't they?
Yes.
And you also have an Instagram. So we're going to put that link to that Instagram up there. If anybody's got any questions or comments, I'm assuming they can post to that and you'll kind of get back with them.
Yes, that would be exciting.
Yep. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you for coming.
So if you want to know more about our products, or you want to learn more about vegetable garden, check out these videos.